Now,
Sleuth.
Well, Sleuth is the one that's taking a lot of interest because of who's in it. So we have a big cast list here.
Well, it's not a big cast list.
Oh,
it's
by
a
the way,
small
can I just
cast
say,
list. Yeah.
we just had a text
Just
from
2 people.
Just had a text from Richard Thompson.
Legendary
guitar-
from Richard Thompson.
Well, unfortunately, there's no way of checking that.
This is like MySpace, isn't it? You know.
He wants a mention as well. So for all past, present, and future members of Fairport Convention, you're in.
Yeah.
And we wish you well, and you're part of the team.
Okay.
And I think that's it. That's everyone done. Maddie, consider
You've become
yourself
so overwhelmed that you've actually been unable to speak.
Choking with excitement.
Choked up.
Carry on.
Sleuth, which doesn't have a big cast at all, has probably the smallest cast that it's possible to have outside of a one-man show. It is there's 2 people in it. It's a reimagining of the 1970s classic, which obviously started as a stage play, then was turned into a film. The original film starred, as you know, Laurence Olivier and Michael Caine. This reimagining takes the Anthony Shaffer original. It's re-scripted, rewritten by Harold Pinter, and we now have Jude Law in the role which was originally filled by Michael Caine. We have Michael Caine in the role that was originally filled by Laurence Olivier. We have Kenneth Branagh, who was once hailed as the new Olivier, as the director.
Very clever
all
already.
ties up rather neatly. The story, for what it's worth, is a house. In it is the Michael Caine character. The Jude Law character turns up. The Jude Law character is having an affair with Michael Caine's wife, and they are nominally there to discuss in a decent way the divorce proceedings. But as everyone will know, because it's a very, very famous story, in fact, the older character wants to play games with the younger character, and the game is he wants the younger character to pretend to break into his house. Here's a clip.
This is a frame-up.
A frame-up?
Yes. You want to destroy me. You want to see me in jail. You want me to do this and then shop me to the police.
No. If I shop you, then you'll shop me, and then we'll both end up in jail. No, I take a strictly moral position on all this. My wife is an adulteress. Actually, she should be stoned to death. Anyway, it's up to you. Make up your own mind.
You're asking me to trust you?
This is a simple proposition. You have an expensive woman and no money. If you want to keep the woman, steal the jewels.
Why don't you steal the jewels and give them to me?
Don't be a bloody fool. The burglary has got to be right. The house has got to be broken into.
Why don't you break into it?
For Christ's sake, I'm in it. How can I break into it? I live here.
Michael Caine doing the Michael Caine voice, Jude Law doing the Jude Law voice. Now, look, I don't know whether you've seen the papers today, but there have been some scathing reviews of Sleuth, although actually when it played in European film festivals, it got some pretty good reviews, and apparently in America it was sort of rather well received. Shaffer's remake, Shaffer's The Wicker Man, got remade by Neil LaBute last year, and it really, really made a total mess of it, and it's a real shame. And I would say right from the outset that this reimagining of Sleuth is in a whole different ballpark to what happened with The Wicker Man. That said, I have to say also from the outset that it doesn't work, and the reasons that it doesn't work are quite interesting. See, I think Kenneth Branagh is a very, very interesting filmmaker. I hated his work until Frankenstein, and Frankenstein was his first major flop, and when Frankenstein came out, I suddenly got him. I suddenly made sense because Frankenstein is so full-on and so full-blooded and so romping and so unabashed about what it is, and a lot of people threw their hands up. That was when the Ken backlash kind of started. But that was the moment in which I went, and then I reassessed the stuff from before, and I realised that I had been mightily wrong
just
about
put you
it.
down as being difficult.
No, I've not
when
been
everyone
difficult
liked
at all.
him, you said, oh, I don't like him. And then when everyone said, no, I don't like him, you said, oh, I like him.
No, it wasn't that. It was quite because I saw Frankenstein before I realised that anyone wouldn't like it. I saw Frankenstein quite early. I thought everyone's going to like it, and I was absolutely shocked when everyone didn't. Okay. Now, in the case of Sleuth, most of the problems for me are with the Pinter script. As everyone knows, the second act of Sleuth. I mean, you know, in the first act there are the two guys together. In the second act, something else happens. But it's one of those things. It's like the mousetrap. Everyone kind of knows what happens, or at least a great proportion of the audience.
It's when all
do.
the other cast members arrive.
Exactly, all the other cast members, all that stuff turns up. So the script has to get through the second act, then invent a third act, which I have to say doesn't quite work. The other thing is it changes it from predominantly being about class to being about sex and about dirt. It's a very down and dirty, script, very much in a way that's almost like kind of pastiche Pinter. The direction, I think, works on paper, but in practice it does look terribly stagey. It's all about the fact that the house is a material thing and it can't protect you from the emotional things that are going on in the story. And it's about guys together. And I'm sitting there watching it thinking, I really like this filmmaker. I like those performances. Even Jude Law I'm kind of slightly warming towards, because I've watched AI again recently because Linda did a paper about it, this Spielberg conference. I always hate that film, and now I've seen it a couple of times, and every time I watch it now I'm bursting into floods of tears. So it's a terrible thing.
You're not changing your mind on that as well.
I am. I mean, I haven't going going through a total midlife crisis, but the film does not work. It is an interesting attempt to reimagine Sleuth. It is, on paper, something which ought to be far more incendiary than it is on the screen, but in the end I sat there thinking, why isn't this gelling? Why isn't this gelling?